Hi, Stampers. Welcome back to another Sunday Fun Day. This week, we are featuring color combo number 35 with the Stampin' Up! Color family using Poppy Parade, Soft Suede, and Just Jade. So these are the colors here that I'm going to be showing you some fun projects to use. And before we kind of dive into all of that, I do just want to let you know that the stamp set I am featuring for this week is the Words of Cheer stamp set. And I guess I should have had that here as well. And just to let you know that I will be sharing some craftical projects with you, such as cards and some other special things that I have to share. You will also learn how to use your blends. So I've got a couple blends here, but you know what? We're going to use all the ones that kind of match with this, as well as the color lifter, just to add some pizzazz to some of your projects. And so these will be tips that you can use at home with your own blends. Maybe you've got some different colors, or maybe you've got these, but no matter what, you'll be able to give that a try as well. Who doesn't need craftical projects, right? Everyone does. They're crafty, they're usually pretty, like the pretty things that we make, but they're practical too. And everything that I'm sharing with you is made with a purpose. So I am using them for other projects. I've got people in mind to gift them to, or there's something coming up, perhaps a swap that I needed a card for. So therefore, everything is craftical. It's crafty and practical all at once. So welcome to Sunday Fun Day on Just for the Love of Stamping channel, where you're going to learn craftical tips and tricks that you can incorporate into your paper crafting projects. I hope you guys do that. I know many of you follow me each week. I'm here. So I'm Trisha Shalo, live sharing stamping ideas for cards, scrapbook pages, and other pretty things. So what I was sharing with you were these stamps, these markers, this stamp set, the Words of Cheer, so that you can see the pretty things that I pulled together with it. Now, as I move the inks out of the way, and I'm just going to set that stamp set kind of there for you to see, I'm going to share some projects. But before I do, I've tried to set things up a little bit differently again today. I do want to just say hello and thank you to all of you guys joining me live. It's because of you that I come here. I know many of you aren't able to catch the live version, and that's okay, because once we're done, it gets posted straight to the page, and you can watch the reruns there as well. Now, I do have a mug, but I realize that for some reason I don't have me on there, so I can't show you my mug that way. But I'll sip a little bit, and maybe by the time we're done, you guys will be able to guess which mug it is I have today, and then I'll be able to tip it under the camera to share with you. So as we go along, you can take some guesses, put them in the comments. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm obsessed with these mugs, these big letter chunky mugs. I'll try not to brand it. But anyways, when I pick my mug, I try and use it as inspiration for how I'm feeling or how the projects are. So keep that in mind as you're listening or watching the projects, coming up with your guess. And then if I'm not able to share it here, I will post it afterwards in the page along with all the other tips and tricks so that you can see, and we'll see if one of you is a lucky winner. I might just have a special prize for the person or persons who get it right. Okay, so I'm just going to push these blends aside. So as I mentioned, I've got Just Jade, Poppy Parade, and Soft Suede is the other color combo, but Stampin' Up! Does not have Soft Suede. However, I am using the bronze and ivory blends as part of that collection, which works very well kind of as a side color. Even though it's not exact, it pairs very, very nicely. So let's start off with this card. So again, this is Just Jade using that Words of Cheer stamp set. Something simple. So this is the basic stamper. sometimes I just want to be a basic stamper. And so this is great if you're just starting to stamp, maybe you've never stamped, but you get your stamp out, you get your ink pad, you just need one, and then a little bit of Just Jade paper, and you stamp away. And it is just so fabulous. This particular stamp set is a photopolymer stamp set. You can see I've used it a bit. Not all of the words are dyed because I haven't overused them. But even though they change color, just so you know, that is okay. It's not going to hurt anything. If you are a little worried about it, feel free to use a little bit of your Stay-On cleaner just to kind of rub it over top, let it sit just maybe for no more than 1 minute, and then clean it off. And that'll help take away some of that color. But there's a little tip for you. So just a lovely simple card, stamped and then stamped off and then stamped again on some paper, and then just adding some of our beautiful gems. Such a simple card, but I think that that has a wow factor. So if you're in a rush needing something quick to add to a gift, or maybe you're running out the door and need something for the hostess, that's a quick and easy card for you to make. Now, if you want to step that one up just a little bit, now I have to hide. I completely finished this card and then I had a hoops, and oops, who's had that? A little drop of ink somehow got on that, and I have to figure out how to remove that. I'm almost to the point where I might try and find some white out. Just kidding. I'll figure out what to do here. So this again is Just Jade card, but I've layered it in behind a piece of soft suede just to give that little extra color accent to pop up, and then stamped directly on thick basic white cardstock. And now you'll want the thick versus the standard thin. And I can't show you virtually the difference because it's really hard to tell, but the thick will absorb the ink so that it's not as see-through, or it doesn't seep all the way through and start warping your cardstock. So the thick cardstock is best when you're coloring directly on that paper, but isn't that just beautiful? It's bold and beautiful. Again, using this time, not these inks, but I did use the black Memento. So stamped in black and then added in a bit of color. And if you want to learn how to do the fun little technique, you'll just sign up for one of the stamping classes coming up, and we'll teach that in more detail in one of those classes. But I will just share another tip here in a little bit. I stamped directly on the cardstock and then layered it with some extra cardstock, and then popped it up with some dimensionals, the strips, and then added a little bit of bling, and you've just got a little bit more of a wow factor. So this is wow, but this is just stepped up even more, adding a bit of color and more layers to it. So you can see how that's a little different and maybe more for the casual stamper. And now to top that up even more, kind of for that avid stamper, we've got this. And so again, I've stamped and then colored and then added all kinds of other stuff. So this is fun if you've got a cut and emboss machine or any die cutting machine. The embossing folder works with most companies. And that's that fun frame. It's part of the hybrid collection that comes with dies, but it's also a folder. And you stick your paper in, you run it through, and I should have had a sample, but it makes that whole frame. I don't know if you can see that, the whole frame, and it comes out embossed. So here's just a little piece to kind of show you. Super fun. And that's what I did here, except what I did is I ended up cutting it in half. So I only put half of that frame on here, and the other half is on the inside of the card down low. Don't know if you can see that. So before I flip that over, I just wanted to share, here is another fun tip to use your blends. So this is some paper that's part of the Inked Expressions paper. It's white and gold, but you don't see the white anymore because I use the blends. You can use your blends to color on top of your designer series paper. So don't be scared to pull out your blend and color on that. And of course, my sample sheet that I had to color on has walked away over to the other side of the room. So you'll have to pass on that. But literally all I did is take my brush end and color it in the white areas, and you get that beautiful striped that matches the card. And then we have a little die here stamping the Christmas cheer, sending you Christmas cheer that's in this stamp set, and cutting out a little bit of a holly, and then adding some of these red gems. They're so beautiful just to make it look like holly. But the best part is this ribbon. I just absolutely love this ribbon. And for those of you who've been kind of following around in the holiday catalog, know this is the art ribbon, or actually, sorry, it's from the main catalog, and it's the fine art ribbon. So beautiful. All I'm going to do is just trim some of this off. You really only need about 7 inches for this project. And all you're going to do is take your bronze pen and you're going to just color your ribbon like so. And just go up and down. And you know what? The ink is so thick that it does go through the ribbon. Now you're going to want to make sure that you have a surface below you. Keeping in mind that if you have a paper surface, this ink goes through the paper. So you do want to make sure there is something thick. And what I have below me here is this is actually a laminated sheet with something fun that we did and gifted to a bunch of team members. Oh, speaking of team members, Stampin' Up! Has an awesome deal on right now until the end of the month. If you want to be part of the Twist and Dab stamping team, you can right now for only $100. No shipping, no GST. So be sure to check that out or message me if you have any questions, but that is a great way to get a discount on your craft supplies. No hassle, no pressure. But again, reach out to me if you've got questions. But look how beautiful that is. Just like that, it is covered. It just needs a couple of minutes to dry. Otherwise, you're going to get it all over your hands. And this is an alcohol marker. And so this doesn't wipe off easily, like with a wet wipe. It does take a little more cleaning on a plastic surface. And if you caught last week's, or maybe it was a couple of weeks ago, Sunday Funday, using your alcohol, rubbing alcohol and a cotton pad will just clean that up nicely. And so I'll do that at the end because I'm going to get this a little more messier. But anyways, that's all that is. Here is the ribbon. I also did the same thing with some linen thread in behind. So it's colored with the bronze just so that it's not such a light look and it blends with the color combination that's here. And to top it off even more, because you know, this is that Avid card. Now, I don't know if you can see that there, but the sparkles. So we used the Wink Estella pen, one of these guys, and just brushed over to add some shimmer onto everything and then cut that out. And again, layered it all with dimensionals. So isn't that fun? When you open it up, there's a little touch of designer series paper just to kind of cover that background because I wanted that darker effect here. And then we've got that other half of that embossing folder here. And I did use a different word on the inside. I guess that's like a little sneak peek into next week's Sunday Funday. It's the poinsettia petals. So this is going to be an upcoming Sunday Funday. I also have sweets and treats, this one. And I'm not too sure yet which one is going to be next week. So I'm going to put a poll out there and see what you guys want to see next week versus the week after. Because we're in week 4, you guys. There's only 4 weeks left of Christmas. Anyways, I hope you loved these 3 cards just to kind of show how it's basically the same card, same layout, just inspired by adding on. So it's kind of like your one card leveled up. So those are the cards, but I do have something else super cute that I made to go with it. And here it is right here. So is this not super cute packaging? Again, using the same technique, brushing on your florals and then adding, well, the brush is the Wink Estella and then adding all the different colors. Now I do want to just quickly show you a stamp once I show you what's inside, because I just realized on this card here, it is a little bit different. So although I cut this out, do you see this one's in black, but this one's in soft suede. You don't just have to use your Memento ink with your Stampin' Blends. And the reason is they are both the inks are water-based. So they're water-based and you're coloring with alcohol-based markers, which is what you want. You do not want to use StazOn because StazOn is alcohol-based and these are alcohol-based. So once you start blending, the ink starts to blend all together. So you do want the water-based and the alcohol-based to work together. So anyways, I just wanted to point that out, that one is in the brown and one is in the black. because sometimes, or at least I found, I was always going to the black ink pad only to do my coloring, when you have so many options being able to use all the ink pads or the ink colors that Stampin' Up! Has. Okay, so sorry, back to this, made a cute little label. And of course, look at this just jade ribbon. It's so cute. But inside, this is just a little cover for something that's gonna push out. Now, some of you guys I know live on acreages, or maybe you've got some handy friends and you've got broken down trees in the yard, because we don't want to cut down live trees. But if you've got some old trees, these tree discs are so perfect. Is that not so cute? And it fits perfectly in these little acetate boxes. Let me just open it up. I haven't sealed it shut because I'm going to want to tape this down, but I wanted to show you guys. But keep in mind, you're going to want to make sure that your wood disc is no more than 3 inches wide. Although how wide was this exactly? Because that fit in there. Oh no, this was yeah, it was just over 3 inches, but it was just a little bit tight. So make sure it's no more than 3 inches. And all I did is took some of that ribbon that I dyed and I put a little bow on here. Of course, it's all squished from the box, so you have to make it all pretty. But stamped directly on the wood. Is that not a fun idea? So on the back, you can stamp and color as well. So when it's on the tree and it twists, it kind of gets that look. I didn't color the back, and that's only because my blends are running out. I need to order a new set and I don't have much of the Poppy Parade left. So I stamped on here, but then layered it with a piece of paper and then some dimensional, just to give it that extra wow factor. And again, just like the cards, stamped and raised up the words, cut them out a little bit. But the difference is, for this project, I ended up doing this with vanilla cardstock. Again, there's the thick vanilla cardstock, and then there's the basic white, the thick basic white. And so it comes in both colors, so you can pick and choose, but just look how beautiful that is. And again, stamping on the wood directly with the blends worked fantastic. Now, there is a little trick. So let me show you. We may as well test it on the other end here. Now on paper, we tend to, we want to brush or go in and do a little bit more, but with these blends, and especially on wood, this also applies to paper, but you want to make sure that you're just going in and you're dabbing. Just go dab, 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 because it does bleed. And because this is a porous surface, you're going to, it's going to bleed and spread out a little bit. So don't go right to the edges, let it go with you, or let it go on its own. Where you're dabbing, it'll just flow out nicely. So that's just a little tip and trick. Again, don't color, but use that little tapping, dabbing technique and it'll work wonders. But that is how it got so beautiful, bright and bold. And I think that's so beautiful and such a lovely gift. And I won't fuss to put it back in the box. Yeah. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Is this a craft that is something that, you might give a try? You think that's something you'd like? I mean, the bark, it's just so cool to touch this, because even the bark is all dry and it's making some crinkly sound. And I forgot to mention that this designer series paper, the Just Jade, is actually not a Christmas paper. This is out of the Sweet Symmetry paper. And so you may want to take a look at all your designer series paper that you have, because there might be some colors that work perfectly for Christmas that you just don't think of because they're not part of a Christmas collection. So make sure you go through. Sorry. Ooh, sorry about that. Tickle and no water nearby. Drinking that hot coffee. But you guys know I don't really drink coffee, so it's like a made-up coffee. Anyways, so check all of that. And I think that is all I wanted to share with you today. Oh, no, one more. So I shared with you the coloring on ribbon, but what I didn't share with you was coloring on your gems. So those of you who are new to stamping, remember that you can have all the colors you want using your markers. And so let me just quickly show you what that looks like. Oh, that is like quite the tickle there. Okay, and apparently, I just crafted with all those gems, but of course they walked away. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I guess I have to give up because, again, just like that other thing, they vanished. Anyways, all I did was just take my marker and took the brush, or pardon me, the fine tip, just colored around. Okay, I better stop talking. My throat is like, whoo. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed those cards and they inspired you to maybe try something. I'd love to see you pulling out your blends and doing some fun things. So post them in the comments in this video. And if you haven't said hello yet, by all means, say hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from, because we do want to acknowledge all of you for taking the time to check out the video. And please share on your craft pages if you feel there's someone that would value, excuse me, would value seeing some of these crafty things to start making. And remember, there's only 4 weeks left till Christmas. So you want to make sure your Christmas cards are all done, or at least getting to there. Your stocking stuffer gifts are all done. Maybe some little gifts for your coworkers. Lots to do before we get to December 25th. Anyways, have a great Sunday. Bye for now.